back to open source. I'm here with Jay Jog. All right, let's talk security. People are always freaking out, as they should, about hacks, but I do think sometimes it gets a little overblown. But security is obviously a big issue. Crypto's had a lot of bad press. And it seems like if everything goes right, nobody cares. And then if there's one hack anywhere, it hits every newspaper, right? It's on every crypto TV show. So let's talk security. How secure is your blockchain?
Absolutely. So security is critically important for any blockchain or any kind of distributed system with a financial use case. And I agree with you that whenever any of these exploits happen, it's like just top of the news everywhere. For example, a couple of weeks ago, there was the Bybit exploit that happened, and everyone was like, how did this happen? What can be done to improve on it, et cetera? From our standpoint, security is a first-class citizen. From the perspective of building the blockchain, we're using everything that's state-of-the-art from the cryptography side, and there's no decisions that were made that compromise security at the expense of anything else. So say it's completely state-of-the-art from a security standpoint. The one thing to note about blockchains is there's a lot of different things you can do to get it tested, to get it audited, to feel better about it before it launches. The only thing that really matters, though, is how it holds up after the mainnet launch happens. In Sei's case, it's been over 18 months since the first version of Sei went live on mainnet. And I mean, it's definitely holding up quite well from the security standpoint. So I think that's probably the biggest thing to look at across different ecosystems. Just how long has that blockchain been on the market and how battle tested it is on mainnet.
Well, I mean, you bring up some interesting points too, because if you look at obviously the history of Ethereum, it's like when things go wrong, right? That's when we got to change, the consensus mechanism. Oh, and that's now, we've got to merge this new version with the old version. Like, are you in a situation where it's not like you're waiting for things to go wrong, but you can't really know what needs to be fixed until it breaks? You know what
Yeah,
I mean?
exactly. So
Right.
there's a really aggressive bug bounty program that Sei Foundation has set up so that white hat developers are able to catch issues and then they're able to report them and get paid out without really doing anything negative for the ecosystem. So it ends up being this like really complementary system where attackers are able to find out issues and then they're able to get rewarded for it instead of trying to exploit them.
Right.
And then I guess moving forward from Sei's standpoint, security is going to continue being a first-class citizen.
Mhm.
When you have this much money at stake, like in Sei's case, there's hundreds of millions of dollars that are just on the ecosystem itself, discounting the actual token for the ecosystem. Yeah, it's just too much money to really take any shortcuts over there.
So what do you like? What do you do? Like walk me through it, right? When you're building out this security, obviously you want to prevent hacks. Nobody wants to be hacked, but what protocols are you implementing to do that? Like, you're as you say, you're hiring white hats, or what do you like? You're testing different things. You've got beta users. Like, what at the testnet stage? Like, how do you do it?
That's an excellent question. And without getting too deep in the weeds from the technical side, I would say that there's three stages of testing you can do. The first is before any kind of code release is finalized. The second is at the testnet level, and the third is at the mainnet level. So before anything is finalized, you can have really aggressive types of testing. So you'll have unit tests, integration tests, you'll have QA testing. So a lot of different ways that you can just make sure that the code that you're writing is reliable. The second layer of that would then be getting it audited before it even gets out to some kind of mainnet audience. So you work with these different auditing agencies that charge a lot of money. They have really sophisticated teams internally that are able to do not just like actually reading through the code, but also more rigorous testing from their side to really probe what could potentially go wrong with that chain.
Hmm.
Then afterwards, you go to a test net where actual users come and use it, and then eventually it makes its way to a mainnet where that's when everything is real money. So any issues that are caught over there, they need to be addressed immediately. But it's essentially state of the art. I think most ecosystems have figured out like what works the best over here, and everyone is kind of lining on these are the security properties that allow a blockchain to be reliable. And then from there, you can focus on what really moves the needle from user adoption, which would be
Hmm.
scaling the EVM to get more and more users and developers on.
What about like blockchain trilemma issues? It's like you have to compromise certain things as you get more safe. Like, do you lose speed? Like, what's that relationship?
Yeah, so the most conscious decision that we've made from Say side is this focus on a smaller validator set size. And I mean, without going too deep in the weeds over here, we don't think that the industry needs to have tens of thousands or hundreds of thousands of validators. We think that most ecosystems, they'll eventually go down the route of validator sets that are less than 50 validators. And when you have this smaller validator set size, it allows you to really maintain security while pushing the balance for what kind of performance you're able to offer.
Look, I love all your answers. You've got a great reputation. I can see why. We've got Jay Jog here on open source.